Hey, everybody, welcome back to another Going Ballistic podcast. It is Ryan Kleckner and you're essentially my co-host, Jason Kleckner. How you doing, Jason?
Oh man, I'm doing good, but it has been a crazy, crazy couple weeks.
Talk to me about last week. What happened? You guys had a haboob?
Well, we had our famous Kleckner camp out that we do every year.
Mm, holy smokes. I missed it.
You did.
Tell me about it.
Well, I didn't get to go up as early as I wanted to because I had some issues with my truck, so I couldn't tow my trailer till I got it fixed.
Mm,
And then, but anyway, got up there Thursday. Uncle Bobby and one of his friends, Linda, and some of their friends were up there. And then Twilight came up with Tucker's wife Daphne on Friday. They were driving down Stillman Lake Road, busted a radiator hose, and lost all their fluid and overheated. So we worked on that Friday night. But yeah, other than some of the car issues, we had a blast. We did our famous frisbee golf course through the woods.
Did you dominate?
It didn't play very much on Saturday. We played mostly best ball. So believe it or
Mhm.
not, Brittany and her boyfriend Zach they took it a couple games at best ball, and then on Sunday I let it fly and started taking over. So
Good, good, good. Well, Tucker wasn't there to put you in your place.
no, he wasn't, man. I tell you what, that kid. As soon as he gets back, he's already all over me. He's all, yep, it's over, pops. Your time's done. Well, I'm not going down without a fight, man.
That's funny. That's funny. Well, so you had a storm last week too, right?
Oh man, yeah. So I
So what's
posted
a
on Facebook.
haboob for everyone that doesn't know?
What,
Was that what it was?
a haboob or a microburst?
I don't know. Which one was it?
It was a microburst.
Okay. Well, explain to the fine people that are smart enough not to live in the desert what those things are.
All right. Well, for those of you that have never experienced a microburst, as we call them here in Arizona, basically a wall of dirt looks like something out of a movie from the Sahara Desert comes into the Phoenix metro area, engulfs all of Phoenix, and typically by the time it hits Central Phoenix, it's not too bad. But the microburst part of it is you all of a sudden get these anywhere from 30, we got as high as 65-mile-per-hour winds at our house for approximately 45 minutes. And the dust and dirt is coming so hard and so fast that you literally cannot stand outside. I mean, it peppers your eyes. You can't see the house next door to you. And in our case, it tore up, of course, all the shingles, ripped the solar panel off the roof, took one of our big trees and put it through part of the roof. Uh, yeah, it was quite a mess to clean up the next morning.
What a mess. People think we're crazy for living here because of tornadoes and stuff, but I wouldn't say it's any better there.
No, so this was a long one. I mean, usually a microburst is 15, 20 minutes. This lasted for 45 minutes. We actually lost power 30 minutes in, lost power for about 5, 6 hours. Luckily for us, we have generators, so we fired up the generators and plugged in the fridge and some lights and
Hmm.
just waited for it all to come back on. But it is hilarious though when we lose all the power because the boys, of course, are like, "Well, what do we do, man? There's no Wi-Fi." I'm like, "There's all kinds of things to do, man. Do something constructive."
That is funny. Yeah,
So
they haven't dealt with no Wi-Fi, have they? I mean, we never had such a thing.
yeah, we never had such a thing. I'm like, dude, we have a house full of all kinds of stuff. Play a game, play foosball, shoot the pool table, throw some darts. I don't know what to tell you, man.
That's good. You should have like fake power outages just
No
to make
kidding.
them, yeah.
Well, that's what camping trips are for.
Well, it's true. But you guys all have gone soft on me anyway. You tow your trailers up there, and I
Yeah,
don't.
this is true.
Yeah, it's not camping.
It's camping for us that have gotten older. I mean, I have suffered and done all my own stuff through tents. I've been snowed in for 4 days. I mean, I have story after story of tenting it. Now that I'm a little bit older, I gotta say the trailer's nice. You just park it, set it, climb in
Yeah, yeah. I'll get there someday when I get as much gray in my beard. Your
it.
beard's getting gray, man.
Yeah, that's what 4 kids do to you. For those of you that don't know.
Uh, Well, I'm trying to think what else is new happened for shooting. I'm more on the 6.5 Creedmoor bandwagon. More and more people ask about it. I did a podcast for the 3 Gun Show today, and they were even surprised to hear it. I'm like, yeah, there's just no reason not to. And he brought up one of the ideas that said, it's like, well, why the 6.5 Creedmoor? Why do you want to go for that now? But you're thinking these other calibers are fads. And I brought up a point that I hadn't really made, I don't think, before, and it was why I waited so long to adopt the 6.5 Creedmoor. And one of the reasons is because he came back with, well, aren't the specs good? So why wouldn't you go for it? And I said, well, the specs are the same as 260. So 260 Remington and 6.5 Creedmoor are a rounding error of each other. If I just wanted the specs, I could have gotten the 6.5 Creedmoor performance out of the 260. And had I adopted the 260, I'd be left with the losing cartridge right now. So something to be said for waiting a while, and now, or else I would have 5 260 rifles and not be able to find the ammo anywhere. So
Right.
that's one reason to wait. But you're still 308, which I get, I appreciate. I think I'm gonna send you my Q rifle and my 22.
All right. This is what
You're
I'm
gonna,
talking about, man.
you're gonna get the family deal, but you're gonna have to buy them.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, I figure why not? If I'm converting over, what do I need a 308 for?
You don't.
There you go.
I'll take it.
All right. Whatever we sell to each other has to be sold back before it's sold to someone else.
Fair enough.
All right. So, did you hear about the Surge contest? I just posted on Facebook about it for SOCOM new award for the upper receiver group. Have you heard about that at all?
I have not.
All right. So, Surge is an acronym, SURG, for the Suppressed Upper Receiver Group. And this has been a very long and drawn out contract for the military. I mean, I'm guessing here, but 4 years they've been trying to procure this thing. So they essentially went out and said, hey, we're not getting new guns. Once they stopped the trying to get new rifles, they said, well, at least we'll do new upper receiver groups because there's so many advantages and advancements out there that maybe we can get more reliability out of the bolt carrier groups, or maybe we can get, integrally suppressed uppers that have gas settings, just whatever they can do. As you know, you can do an awful lot with an AR in the upper receiver group, right? The lower is essentially holds the magazine and the trigger.
Yep.
Right. The uppers where all the workings of the gun are, right? The reliability of the gun, the stuff like that. And so most companies did like long hand-guarded, over top integrated suppressor, standard kind of what you'd expect design. But Sig just won, and I don't know the numbers. I think it's like $47 million contract or something crazy. And they awarded it to Sig, and it is a radical departure from an AR-15. So in my hands, I have my Sig MPX here. I still don't have a Sig MCX, which would be a better example. But what they did is similar to this MPX. They gave them a piston upper. So SOCOM is now going to piston-driven AR-15 uppers. Okay. And instead of the integral suppressor, they have it as a detachable suppressor. But around the suppressor, they have a cage. And it looks like a woven or like a wire basket mesh cage around the silencer out of like some super lightweight material, because part of the requirements were it had to shoot a certain number of rounds and still not burn somebody. So this cage is around it, so it helps protect the silencer, and when it gets hot now, you don't burn yourself. It just looks weird as can be, but good thinking outside the box, because everyone else made it inside a handguard or stuff like that to protect it, and they're just like, no, make the handguard short, make the gun handy, just put a little cage around it, and it's like I said, this lightweight material. But so not only is it piston, which is kind of cool, but they did what Sig does to their MPX and MCX. And for those that are watching, they'll be able to see this. For those of you that are just listening to the podcast, you'll have to listen to us describe it if you're not familiar. What Sig has done is they've removed the need for a buffer tube. So they have taken out the entire buffer and spring assembly from an AR on their ARs. You don't need it anymore. That's not just a hole that needs to be used. This is just completely dead weight. This entire buttstock might as well be empty or be gone. The gun will function just fine without it, because what they did is they moved the recoil springs and took out a buffer altogether, moved the recoil springs and shortened the bolt carrier group to look like this. So now all the springs for the action are in the upper receiver. Okay. And the bolt carrier group is cut in half. So the bolt carrier group slides back on these top rails to the rear of the upper receiver, then returns back to battery again. So it's the same kind of bolt, same front half to the looking of the carrier, but the back of the carrier is missing and the springs are inside. So now you have the entire operating assembly inside the upper receiver, which means now Sig also sold them what they called a knuckle, because the lower receiver is still there, which is where the buttstock attaches to.
Right.
They sold them a knuckle that screws in and gives them the Picatinny rail that this thing attaches to. So like mine is on a Picatinny rail at the rear. So it allows them to put on nothing as a buttstock, and the gun could just be used like this, just with your hand. Or you can put on a folding buttstock like the one I have, or you can put on a collapsible buttstock. You can do whatever you want because it puts a Picatinny rail at the back. So it's essentially a plug for the back of the lower receiver that plugs the buffer tube extension hole or the receiver extension hole, and then puts a little Picatinny rail in the back. So now they can do whatever they want for buttstock. So now it's like, wait a minute, that wasn't just an upper receiver. They have now fundamentally changed the AR-15. Like, they've made it piston driven instead of direct impingement. They think it's got a shorter barrel for room for the suppressor or the silencer. And they completely changed the fundamental working mechanism of it to where it no longer even operates the same way. The parts wouldn't be the same. I don't know if that matters. But you now have springs inside the gun. You have a different bolt carrier system. You have the ability to fold the buttstock. I never thought, my fault, I didn't see that coming. I never thought that they would change so much just by changing the upper. I assumed they would just go for an upgraded, fancier upper receiver. What do you think about that, Jason?
I think it's awesome. My first question would be, is it cleaner? No gas coming back.
Yes, it's definitely cleaner.
And then do you gain anything?
And I think it needs to be too, because when you put the springs in the receiver like that, I would think you'd want it to be cleaner, right? Or it'd have to be, because those things are going to get all gummed up.
So if you don't have the extra gas coming back, are you gaining anything with the bullet coming out? None? Not enough to notice?
Oh, you mean velocity of the bullet going out?
Yeah. Is there more pressure?
I mean, maybe you are. It's got to be not enough to notice, because I've never even considered it or heard of it before.
Okay.
Because you're still burping gas off the system to run that piston.
Right.
And the piston will still burp gas like out in the atmosphere. I don't think, but it's a good thinking. I like how you're thinking there. Yeah, maybe you are. I think the downside is piston system. The AR-15 is not meant to be a piston system, and maybe that's why they did such a radical new design here. Is with a normal bolt carrier group, when you do a piston, you have something called carrier tilt, where the rod jabs the bolt carrier so hard that it actually torques the bolt carrier group and it'll actually start gouging inside of upper receivers. But to be fair, those are retrofitted standard AR-15s, where this is a whole new thing.
Right.
This thing you could see is more designed and more likely to take, even those two rods, these guide bars, there's two guide rods that this thing has to travel on, which probably helps with the torque and everything. When I saw it, I was like, oh, cool, Sig one. Wait a minute, that's not even technically an AR-15 anymore. The springs have been moved inside, the bolt carrier group's been changed. You can now have a folding buttstock, which AR-15 could never have. You can have a piston, you now have whatever. It's like those little sneaky guys in SOCOM, they get to kind of get what they want. But they probably wanted a new AR-15 or a new rifle, and they probably wanted the piston-driven rifle. They probably wanted a rifle with a folding buttstock. They probably wanted all these things, and they couldn't get one from whatever budget deals. So that someone was smart enough to go, how about we just buy a new upper as an upgrade? And then now they got fundamentally a new gun.
Maybe I'm missing something. Is there still a gas tube that drives it?
Piston.
Yeah, so there's no gas tube coming into it. So what is forcing the bolt back?
An actual piston is. So there's still a gas hole, a gas port in the barrel.
Okay.
And then it goes up to a little regulator still that holds the head of a piston. And it's a short stroke piston. So the gas still comes up and hits the piston head. So instead of coming up and traveling all the way down a tube to that little gas key on the bolt carrier group, it just goes up and runs straight into a piston head, which shoves the piston back, a half of an inch, I'm guessing. And that little half of an inch jab, that's the short stroke, is enough to jab and blow the bolt back. What it does is the piston then can kind of cleans itself off with all the carbon in there as it moves. And they usually have a return spring. So it jabs it back and it pops back forward again. Whereas an AK-47 is a long stroke piston. The piston's attached to the bolt carrier group, which I like long stroke better because it still has all the benefits of direct impingement in that it's a little more forgiving. The pressure's allowed to build up and push the thing back. Short stroke just conceptually is a little bothersome to me because it's such a harsh jab. You're talking about a really hardened long piece of steel now that's like hammering, bam, bam, every single time. Not only does it have to hammer it really hard, which I'm always afraid is abusive, but also after it gets going for the first half inch, it has nothing else to help push it back to the rear and keep going. conceivably the AK-47, if as it starts to move back about an inch, it runs into a little bit of resistance, there's still pressure pushing on it to keep it going. Whereas a short stroke, once it gets that first jab, it's on its own momentum altogether.
Interesting.
So I just maybe I was the only one that missed that coming, but when I saw it, it went from a couple days ago, oh, cool, congrats, Sig, to, whoa, they got themselves a new gun, those sneaky guys, because they're just like, oh, we're just a new upper, that's all. And now all of a sudden they got all the features, that I would have loved to see on a rifle, is a better designed gas system, so you don't need that buffer tube. You can do piston instead of direct impingement to keep it cleaner. It's going to be lighter. This entire thing is lighter than a bolt carrier group and a buffer tube. Right. There's just not much to it. Imagine just compared to regular bolt carrier group. So I think it's a huge win for SOCOM. And what's cool about SOCOM is they get to try it out, and then if everyone else likes it later, they can get it too. Well, we're getting a lot of questions and comments in the video, and I feel like I've neglected them. Have you been seeing those, Jason?
I haven't. I've been so interested in looking at what you were holding in your hand.
All right. Todd says, I like your children's book, Ryan. Really like it. Awesome. Thanks, Todd. Yeah, for everyone, officially my children's book is out. Firearms Safety is No Accident. It's on Amazon. It's currently the #1 new release in children's book for the safety category, which I don't know how competitive that is, but I'm proud of it. Good evening, everybody. How you guys doing? Warthog says you could throw the main electrical breaker once in a while to get to know each other. That's funny. Ryan, saw you're live. Don't have time to watch you. Oh, bummer, Casey. I appreciate you tuning in whenever you can. Yes, poetry makes it more like an AK. Logan asked me, done any reloading on 6.5 Creedmoor? Yes, have. My favorite target bullet? I don't know yet. I don't know. I'm experimenting with Barnes match burners, with the Hornady ELD match, and now I'm getting some of the brand new, that's another thing to talk about, Game Changers. The Sierra Game Changers just came out, so I'm going to try some of those. Does it make it more expensive, like for the upper? It's got to. It has to. There's tons and tons of parts there that were never there before. Nice design for pistol AR for sure, or even just for guys getting out of a vehicle and stuff like that. Having something folding, I can take a lot of the length off of the rifle. Does it feel the same when you charge it? My MPX doesn't, but I think that's a virtue of just how short the system really is in the MPX, because it really is shorter than a normal AR system. When I pull on the charging handle, I can tell it's got a little bit of like a weird torque to it to the side. I kind of don't like the feel of it at all in the MPX, honestly, but I think it's the charging handle, not the bolt carrier group. Other than that, I mean, it's just spring. I mean, I don't know, not much to it. My hands are getting all filthy now.
So what do you think about all the news that has been coming out with the 3D printing guns?
I think it's much ado about nothing. Right. I think it's a bunch of people that don't know what the laws are already. People don't realize, many people don't realize that it's already perfectly legal to manufacture your own firearm. Right. So why does the method in which you manufacture your own firearm matter? Right. To me, I don't think it matters. As a matter of fact, if I was worried about bad guys having guns, I'd rather have a 3D printed gun than making their own AR-15.
Right, because it's probably going to blow printed up, guns.
Yeah, not going to last very long. Right. If they're worried about the plastic guns, well, this craze came out when Glocks came out. They're like, oh, it's plastic guns because of Die Hard. Like, it can make it through metal detectors. Well, no, it can't. And they were showing, Blumenthal from Connecticut was showing pictures. He's like, these are going to show up everywhere because they're undetectable. And he was showing pictures of AR-15s that had 3D printed lowers. And he didn't get that 80% of the gun was still metal. Right. So, it's not an issue, and even if it were an issue, there's already a law about that. There's the undetectable firearms law that says a firearm cannot be undetectable to a metal detector. It's illegal, even if you make it yourself. So that's why 3D printed guns, the designs for them, if you make it correctly, involve putting a strip of metal in the middle and then 3D printing around it so that it can always be seen by metal detector. So it's already illegal to make a non-detectable gun. I do think it's a free speech issue. And by the way, I'm scared about all the free speech issues I've been seeing like crazy online. Another Connecticut one, Murphy, came out and said, good that they're shutting down Alex Jones. He was spreading, propaganda, and we should shut him down and more. And it's just like, How is it the people that try to call us Nazis so much are the ones that are advocating for taking away free speech and the ones that are advocating for violence if you don't agree with their viewpoint? It's kind of crazy
Right.
to me.
No,
Yeah.
it's just crazy.
Going to hell in a handbasket, Jason.
I know. But hey, I've got good news on my side though.
All right, what's up?
Fire restrictions have been released. Somebody gets to go shooting here within the next couple of weeks, and I'm excited. It's been feels like forever.
It has been probably a while for you.
Yes, it has, and I've got ammo to go shoot. And believe it or not, T2 is back in Arizona, so he's dying to go out and shoot with me.
Oh, that's awesome. I
Yeah,
want to see. I haven't seen him in years.
he's ginormous like the rest of his family.
Yes. How tall is he again?
I don't know, man. He's tall. He's
Like
he's big.
6'6"?
He's a monster of a kid.
Yeah. Not a kid anymore. He's a Marine now, right?
Yep, yep. He ended up doing the reserves. I found out, and he's done with that, and he does training back and forth.
Oh, I didn't know that. I thought he went active duty.
Yeah, no, I thought so too. But I talked to him this weekend on the camp out, and he's like, "Nope, just reserves. I do training here and there." But he's going to be back in the valley for a while, so I'm looking forward to hooking up and going out with him.
That's awesome. Well, it's even better for you guys now. You get to see more of them.
That's right.
Yep. So what else has changed? Oh, NRA's in trouble.
Oh, I didn't read that. What happened there?
They're in trouble like they may not exist anymore pretty soon. They have
Oh, wow.
huge financial troubles. A bunch of people aren't re-upping their memberships. They're getting blocked a lot by Cuomo in New York by banks and stuff like that. And then you have all these groups of people. So in Reuters this morning, they're mentioning Adam Kraut, which I thought was awesome, as he's a firearms lawyer. They're talking about how his bid to try and get on the board because he's getting mad at all the FUDs that are on the board that don't even show up to the board meetings and are trying to keep this younger generation out and are the ones that are bending over on the rights and allowing all these concessions that we don't agree with. Reuters, I don't know if Reuters coined the term or not, but they used the term gundamentalists. They said so. There's a whole group of gundamentalists that are upset with the NRA, and the NRA is hurting now. Like, may not be around much longer, which is kind of crazy because so many people are kind of revolting against it now. Which fine. I have no love lost for that one. The problem is we need to have something else ready because if we don't, we're gonna have a big vacuum, or a big void there that the antis can jump on when they're gone. So
Now,
very
what about
interesting to me.
the NSSF? They're kind of into that
They are, and they
area,
do a lot of advocacy, and they're all big on the Second Amendment, but they represent the industry. So they represent the manufacturers, dealers, distributors. The way the NSSF and the NRA say their division is the NSSF says they represent up until the cash register, and the NRA represents after the cash register. So I guess the
gotcha.
NSSF could pick up for that. The problem is the NSSF just doesn't have the same kind of base the NRA does, which maybe
Right.
is good. They're definitely more of a trade association versus an advocacy group necessarily. So anyway, interesting news. Say
Yeah,
Sig,
there seems to
you
be a
got
lot of good news towards gun stuff lately. I mean, it's just that's all I see. This passed. This was approved. This bill overturned. Um,
I'm nervous,
I
man. I'm not as optimistic as you.
I'm not saying that I'm optimistic. I'm just saying that's all I'm seeing in the news, which is weird because normally it's all negative stuff.
Right, right. I'll give you that. Yeah, for sure. My concern is, I think the local governments are just figuring out that they have the power to do things. I keep hearing everyone say, "Oh, we got Trump in power." I'm like, California just banned straws, right? You heard about that, right?
No, I did not.
Straws are now banned in California.
A drinking straw.
Plastic drinking straws because they're so bad for the environment because they're single-use plastic devices. You can have a paper straw that can be reused or can be recyclable, but not a plastic one. So now people are putting like funny memes all over the internet of like putting a straw in their waistband and covering it with their shirt and going concealed carry in California. Or I think Black Rifle Coffee Company is the one that did it. I'm not sure. They have a picture of the come and take it with a picture of a rifle. They changed it to a picture of a straw, come and take it. And I've seen some awesome lists on like Trump, struck a deal with the EU, did this, all these awesome jobs, all these awesome things. He can't GDP at over 4%. And it said Democrats banned straws. Like that's the tally so far they did. And then I saw another funny meme that had a picture of like 3 college girls that said New straw invented helps determine for date rape drugs. Straw changes color if there's a date rape drug in the drink. And then the next caption said, and Hollywood banned straws. Like, oh, we better ban those things. We can't have those working out. Yeah, yeah, they really did. So restaurants, places like that. And then there's a great picture I saw in an article of Starbucks that is now selling the paper Starbucks straws. It's gonna be like this, like a swizzle stick paper or whatever thing, but they put it in a plastic wrapper hanging on the peg. And it's like only the geniuses that want to get rid of single-use plastic straws would start selling paper straws in single-use plastic wrappers. Like you can't make this stuff up. Yeah, straws now are illegal.
Oh, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
Yep. So you're going to have people like that. That's like, no matter what Trump does, no matter what anyone else does, he couldn't do anything about California's laws. So I'm just still very, very worried the more polarized we get, there's going to be more and more local laws that are going to be problems. And then the censorship issues now. Conservatives and libertarians are getting literally shut down now. They're not even hiding anymore. They used to just hide it and just, restrict how much conservatives tweet or a Facebook post could actually spread. So they just did it surreptitiously. Now they're coming right out and just banning complete accounts. Well, that's scary. We have like maybe 5 major sources of information sharing out there right now. And if they all start to ban the conservative voice, that's pretty scary for us.
Right.
So yeah, John Leslie asked, what am I sipping on right now? I'm sipping on Gentleman Jack.
How old? How many years?
Gentleman Jack? I have no idea.
Oh, I thought they had different versions of it.
They might. I have no idea. It's just you live in Tennessee, you got to drink Jack Daniels.
That reminds me of that the movie, The Kingsman. What was that? Statesman whiskey.
I've never seen The Kingsman. Should I see it? Is that a good movie?
I liked it. I thought it was great.
I'll check it out. Do we ever talk about the Boondock Saints?
Yes.
All right. Have you watched it yet?
Oh, I've seen it. The old original one?
Yeah. Okay, good. The second one was useless.
Yes, I didn't like the second one.
Like mini sequels are.
No, the first one was fantastic.
All right, so what else is there to cover, man? I think I got the stuff from the new news. We have the NRA politics. We got Sig's new award. What other guns have come out? Optics? I don't know, man. I think we covered it.
Yeah, I think if I got it, you're still doing pretty good with your SIG? Your little
concealed
carry?
I forget how many rounds I'm at now. I'll have to go back and look. 600, I'm guessing. No problems yet. Now, every single primer has serious primer drag. The question is whether that matters.
If it's functioning.
Yeah, it's functioning. Yeah, it sure is. It's just, it's a perceived issue or not. So we'll see.
I like what Brandon had to say to you.
I feel like you're coming out of your shell and no longer worried about offending people. What have I said that is even partially offensive in this one, Brandon?
No, that's good though.
Yeah. All right. I appreciate everyone's support. Please spread the word about the podcast. Please spread the word about Mayday safety. Please spread the word about the new children's book. I'm a little behind on podcast episodes and when they're getting published, so this is coming out in a couple weeks from now. So I hesitate doing a code word for the contest. But if you guys do check it out, it is up and running, RyanCollector.com/contest. We have a contest running. There was a winner picked. And all you got to do, you can share the links. It gives you instructions. You want to share about Mayday, it gives you 5 points. You want to tweet about Mayday, it gives you 10 points. You want to do whatever. And as you do it, it gives you the points and how many entries you can get in the contest. So it's a pretty slick system. And we just give something else away each time. And once we get back on schedule with the podcast, which means Jason, you and I might actually have a couple weeks break to get on schedule. Okay. I want to start giving away the good stuff. That's when I'll start giving away scopes and things I want to clear out of my garage.
Absolutely. And then before we do go, there is a good question from John. He's saying he's trying to get his girl into shooting, and she's right-handed but left-eye dominant. What can he do to help her? Now, we had talked about this in an earlier podcast. Mm-hmm. And John, I had the same thing when I was younger. I was right-handed and left-eye dominant, and I actually used to lean my head clear over the gun and shoot with my left eye on a rifle. Mm-hmm. And until my dad caught me and forced me to start using my right eye. The one thing that I would suggest to help break that is if you've ever done the test where you hold your finger up and cover something up, and then you close one eye, then you close the other eye, and it tells you which one's dominant.
Mm-hmm.
If she starts to learn which one's which, she can actually control which eye will be dominant. And I can do that now, and I think you said you can do that, Ryan.
I can,
Where
but I can do it both ways. Yeah, so I can pick it up and go up, left eye, and I can do it again and go up, right eye. Yeah, so it's like I can do it either one. So I don't know if I can control it or if it doesn't matter, or I don't know. Not popular answer, but I don't think that's an issue. Someone's like, well, I'm right-handed, but left eye dominant. Well, what does that mean you're left eye dominant? Does that mean the right eye only sees 90% as well as the left eye? Is that what that means? Because if that's what it means, then that means that people that can only see 90% as well as you shouldn't shoot.
Yeah, for
Right?
me,
So if your eye doesn't work as well, so what? People have poorer vision than you and shoot just fine. I don't know. What do you think, Jason?
well, for me, my focal point was my left eye. My left eye always wanted to take over for aiming and everything.
Mm.
So and I think, my dad was right in this and getting me to switch over, because especially shooting a rifle, there's no reason to lean your head all the way over a gun. I should be using your right eye.
I mean, if you've got to do it, I guess you've got to do it. If it works for you, how am I supposed to say anything different? Matter of fact, that's one of the things I teach is like, I can have the right way, but if it works for you, who should I change it? I just think try to not buy into that. I think that is one of those things that doesn't matter as much as people think. And what they do is they go, oh, new shooter's having troubles. They check. Oh, look, it's wrong. Matter of fact, John, I will tell you this. I'm sure it's real for her, but I cannot count how many times you see a line of new shooters and one shooter's having trouble. They do the test. And they go, oh, they're left eye dominant. Not everybody who does this can end up being left eye dominant, but it seems like I don't know. It seems like a scapegoat. Again, not that it's made up, but it seems like it's a scapegoat for people to say, oh, they're new. Then they change something and they start shooting better. Well, no, I think they focus on the fundamentals. But maybe I'm just being biased. I don't know.
Oh, no, I'm with you. I mean, if it works, stick with it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're trying to change it, that's how I changed mine as a kid, is I would start figuring out which eye I could dominate over my finger. And then I could control which one I wanted to use.
And then your brain can kind of focus on it.
Yeah, so I guess it's more of a personal thing. Does she want to change it?
Yeah, exactly. Or try it at least.
Right.
Todd says he works with my children's book. He works with pediatrics. Any thoughts on key points to share with people why they should read it to their kids? Sure. Well, first off, here's the book. That's actually a cartoon representation of my daughter right there. And for those of you that know my wife, you will recognize this. There's essentially my wife and my daughter in a cartoon right there on the couch.
That's awesome. April's famous.
Yeah, she's famous. The reason I think you should read it to them is it's not a overtly gun safety book. I mean, the firearm doesn't even come up until the end. The whole point of the book is that the kids are sharing with each other times that they helped a parent and that they had an accident, but it was okay because the accident could be cleaned up or the thing could be fixed. And then at the very end, one of the kids is at their grandparents and there's a gun laying out and they try to go get the gun and the grandpa is really stern about it. And the kids are essentially saying, well, wait a minute, how come you didn't care so much about all these other accidents, but you care so much about the gun here? And the kind of the moral is that things can break and they bend and things can be fixed with paste, but, an accident with a gun, they just can't be replaced, yada, yada, yada. It's all rhymey and cutesy and it's embarrassing. But so Todd, that's why I think they should read it, is it gets the message home to stay away and tell a grown-up without beating them over the head that it's a gun safety book. And really the reason they should read it is it's not for the kids, it's for the parents. The back of the book has a note to the parents is the whole motivation for the book. I'm just pretending it's a kid's book just to get the parents to realize it. Because honestly, yes, your kids need to know what to do when they encounter a firearm out in the world. But if you've got guns in your home, responsibility is with you to make sure they're secured.
That's right.
So,
yeah, I saw that. I saw that. No, I was going to say you were flipping through the pages and there was one that looked like you. So I'm assuming that was you on your knee on the ground there.
Yeah. Well, it's a better looking me. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah. Yeah. There's me with Alice.
There you are.
Yeah. And then there's Reed. Yeah. So the family made it in the book.
That's fantastic.
Yep. So anyway, there it is. I appreciate you guys check it out. I wish the cost was cheaper. It's a tiny little book. I wish it was less expensive, but it's a print-on-demand book since I don't want to have a ton of inventory on it. And my goal is not to run a business out of this. It's to try and help make kids safer. So this book is making me money, but it's making me like $1 a book, which is great to help offset the costs of, the illustrator and making it and things like that. But it's just because it's print on demand. So I have the Kindle version for free right now. Go check it out. If you're going to check it out and you get a free Kindle version, please leave a good review on Amazon. That really makes all the difference in the world. The reviews are awesome and spreading the word. So yeah, I appreciate it, everybody. Jason, do you have any saved rounds?
No, I'm good.
All right. Short podcast, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Take
And
care.
hopefully we'll see everybody soon.
All right. Take care, man.
All right, buddy. Take care, everybody.